Somebody finally got on the internet and said what we already knew, which is that women only date equal and above. And if you are old enough, then you know better. You know to only date somebody equal and above, because if you don't, you are going to date somebody that is going to be emasculated. They are going to start seeing you as the masculine, and then guess what? They're going to become abusive.
As she said at the start, there's nothing really new about this. And it's part of the reason as to why so many people are struggling when it comes to dating these days. Women who are making good money don't really want to date a guy who's beneath them financially, and guys are falling behind when it comes to education and career aspirations. While there are known issues that seem to occur when men are earning less than their partner, becoming abusive is not something I've ever seen. What I have seen, though, is that men who earn less than their wives are more likely to cheat, which honestly, I found kind of surprising when I read that. But if that's what the data says, who am I to argue with it? If you're gonna say something as extreme as men become abusive in a certain situation, you better be prepared to back that up with some research, especially if you're gonna paint it as something that happens all the time, which just isn't true from what I've seen. But let's carry on.
This is just science. This is not, don't come for me in the comments. This is fucking science. And I'm glad somebody was brave enough to finally talk about it. I'm sure if you are under the age of 30 or 25, maybe you don't know about this, but if you're over that age, then you should know better. You should know that if you date one of these men, I mean, even in the Bible it says, don't be a bum. It says that in the Bible.
I don't know where in the Bible it says, don't be a bum, but if you guys can point me in the direction of that passage, I'd love to see it. In any case, when she's talking about a bum in this instance, it's likely that she's just talking about regular dudes who work regular-ass jobs. And what's wrong with that? More than anything else, videos like this just reinforce the idea that men aren't good for anything else besides being a provider. And if a guy can't do that to a satisfactory degree, he's not worth shit.
But if you date one of these men, you are signing yourself up for a very emasculated person, partner. And it's not always the case, nothing is absolute, but 9 times out of 10, that is the case. Why bother putting yourself in that position? It makes no sense.
She's right that nothing is absolute, because there are plenty of instances where women are more than happy to make more than their partner, but it's not the majority, so don't get your hopes up too soon, guys. In any case, with the way things are going, just like men have done for thousands of years, women might just have to get comfortable taking on the provider role, which I can't imagine will be that easy, but we'll see.
I can't afford to legally marry somebody who doesn't have as much to lose as me.
Yeah. Good for you, babe.
So for
Stand
me, it's
on
like
10 toes.
that. Weirdly enough, it makes dating a bit more clearer for me, because marriage for me is like, I'm Ghanaian, so I can go to the church and do the custom and everything. But in regards to legally, no, I wouldn't legally marry somebody that. For me, it's not even about earning less. It's about, if you don't have any, let's say I have 2 houses, right? I only want the fruit of my labor to go to my kids. If I now come and marry you and something happens,
you're going to say
it's dead.
Yeah.
100%. So you're saying, if I have 2, you have to.
Yeah, legally, 100%.
Equally.
And you know what, we can't really go out and say them. Like, when you say it, it always looks like
you're trying to be financially.
We can't say now.
Yeah.
Like, we now can't say. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? We now can't say, well, I own a house. And I'm not saying that you're not good enough because you're in a council place.
No, not at
You're
all.
renting or you're sharing.
No, but you're not on the same level.
But even if
what's the relatability?
Even if I don't legally marry somebody that doesn't have a house, whatever, unfortunately, you want somebody, especially a man, to fall in love with your heart and not your hand. Is it that you're living in a council house? Are you moving into my 4-bed? What are we doing? Because I'm not going to degrade my kid's lifestyle to match your ego. So there's nowhere to go with it.
Wow.
This video just further highlights what the woman was saying in the first clip, in that women have no interest in providing for men. She even talks about how she doesn't want to risk losing everything she's built, as she'd rather leave it to her kids. But when men talk like this, when it comes to things like marriage, everyone seems to have a problem with it. These conversations have been talked about for years on YouTube now, and the majority of the women who talk about this sort of stuff online tend to say the same thing, in that they have no interest in being with a guy who doesn't share their tax bracket. So regardless of what all these people want to say about the red pill, you can't deny the fact that women do gravitate towards men who can successfully take on that provider role. There's no getting around it. I've yet to tune into a podcast and hear men talk like this because they're fully okay with dating women who aren't on their financial level. I guess we're just built different.
Well, how much does a man need to be making a month to date you?
Bread.
No, have a number though.
I used to say 6K a month.
Yeah?
Yeah, which I still think is all right. It's healthy. We can make it by.
Yeah.
But ideally, more. I'd say about 10 grand a month.
So you're not on like...
10 grand a month is comfy, isn't it?
Wow, 10 grand a month's mad still.
It's
not
comfy.
for me, but...
No, but it's comfy.
But like, that's mad, that's dark, but cool. You don't want to like start with no man from the... Not saying he's broke, just from the ground up, he's maybe making
I don't date
2, 3.
potential.
Wow.
I ain't dating potential.
Swear,
Yeah.
shit.
I don't want to date potential.
10K a month, bro. I ain't talking about me, but bro, there's so much good brothers out there, you know what I'm saying? Sad still.
Minimum. And anyone that gets triggered by that is because you're broke. All right? Okay.
That's mad.
It's potential for a reason and they don't go anywhere with it. There's probably 1 in a million man that actually will do something with that potential, and hold tight you girls that see that through, because I haven't got the patience.
Expecting her man to make 10,000 pounds a month is wild, as that brings it to about 120K a year, which is a lot. And there aren't many people who make that sort of money. When I first stumbled into red pill content back in the day, one of the things I always heard guys talking about was how women only want to get with guys who've already crossed the finish line. And confessions like this only prove that fact. By saying that only broke guys would find this clip triggering is just a way to shame men. But for the most part, I think most guys will hear what she's got to say, then keep it moving. Any guy who is making that sort of money should recognize the risk of dating a woman like this. I mean, if she's that hungry for a guy to be making 120K a year, you really think she won't take your ass to the cleaners if you were married to her and shit went left? The guy even pointed out that there are a lot of good guys out there who'd make for good partners, but because they're not in the tax bracket she wants, they don't even stand a chance.
Your standards are just too high. I'm a 30-year-old single black female prioritizing gut health and protein intake. I can squat 250. I've written 2 books and speak 3 different languages. In the last 6 months alone, I've created 4 different applications and 2 different programs across the iOS platform. Not to mention, I started diversifying my financial portfolio at 23.
They don't care. They don't care. The only love language a man cares about is his love language and whether you are fluent in it or not. The only program he cares about is whatever program is making your ass tight, fit, and plump. Girl, the only time they care about you squatting is if you're squatting in the bedroom. Don't pretend like you don't know what I mean. The only books my man cares if I read are parenting books to make sure I'm not effing up his children. They don't care about your financial portfolio, honey. They care about your Instagram portfolio and how many pictures make you look like a hoe. Listen, I think you're a boss, babe. For real, I want to be you. But as cool as that is to me and other females, that's not what's gonna find you a man. Not one that's gonna want to keep you, at least. Because unfortunately, I know too many 40-year-old women that are childless, single, and also speak 3 languages and have written books who have no man. But you'd make a great escort. I'm thinking political events, I'm thinking the Capitol, or a spy.
The girl in the second half of this clip was 100% right. Just listening to the first girl talk had me tuning out because none of that stuff interested me in the slightest. And I'm pretty sure that she wouldn't be looking to share any of what she's made, just like the women in the second clip we watched today. Now, I'm not saying that guys don't appreciate any of the things she's been able to accomplish, but unlike women, they're not the things that are generally gonna make us gravitate towards her. I remember this one time at work, one of the married ladies had brought her kids in for some reason, and one of the other women in the office started playing with them. And in that moment, you could hear the heart of every man in that office melt like butter. Now, keep in mind, the woman I'm talking about was quite the high achiever, and I'd be lying if I didn't say she was attractive, but nothing she'd said or done before that moment had the guys reacting like that. Anyway, the way the first woman listed off her accomplishments seemed to indicate that she's got no interest in settling down with a guy who isn't on her level. But as usual, do the guy she wants. Want her in return? Some of the comments on this video made me laugh though, and really highlight what the issues are with this whole thing.
Could you imagine a guy telling you how much he benched to justify why he's single?
She became the man of her dreams. She impressed women, not men. Men don't care about if you have a portfolio or build apps. We want a family, a caring wife and mother for our kids. That's all.
I always thought the men don't care about women's achievements thing was just gaslighting until I listened to her speak and I realized I actually couldn't care less.
Anyway guys, that's about it for today, but let me know your thoughts in the comments.